Tea time, tailgate on a Sunday. Get used to it. This is what we do. This is what we are going to be doing. Hold on. Hold on. Let me orient yourself because you're probably looking at this on Sunday. You've never seen it before, and it deserves to have the proper introduction. If you are a return guest, a return listener, a return chatter, a return viewer, welcome back to Tea Time. If you are the first time here, welcome to your first Tea Time. What Tea Time is a live broadcast that is all sports related. What we are trying to do during the NFL season is make tea time in the NFL and football synonymous as one. What we do is on Mondays and Thursdays for Monday Night Football and Thursday Night Football, I live broadcast alongside the games. Instead of listening to your traditional broadcast with the game on your television, you put that on a dim volume, the Monday Night or Thursday Night Football game, and then you got tea time on the side, and I'm narrating, I'm providing the audio, and then it's just what we call music to your ears because you don't know how much you needed it until you had it. It's like people were having jelly sandwiches before, people were having peanut butter sandwiches before, and then Mr. Peanut Butter and Jelly, he said to himself, he said, what if we mix the two? Just like my name, I'm Mr. Peanut Butter and Jelly. Why don't we mix the two together? And then people didn't know that they needed a peanut butter and jelly sandwich until that moment. That's like knowing that you need tea time now. Once it's crossed your viewers, once it's crossed your eyeballs and you've seen it with your two eyes, you listen to it with your two ears. So, and to orient yourself with me, who I am your host, Tony Murr. I told you what we do on Mondays. I told you what we do on Thursdays during football season. On Sunday, this is the Tea Time Tailgate. What I do during Tea Time Tailgate is I bring you my football picks. I give you for the picks for the day. This is like your own pre-game show. So instead of watching what you've already seen on CBS, what you've already seen on Barstool, what you've already seen on ESPN with those pick shows, well, some are pick shows, some are pre-game shows. This is going to be all wrapped into one. And soon enough, this is going to be customary in what you do going into your football Sundays. To have the best football Sunday possible, you need to have some tea time in your life. So I'm happy to provide that for you. What I'm going to do is go through each one of these games. I'm going to give you two picks. One is either going to be the spread or the over-under, and then the other one is going to be a prop bet within that game. A touchdown score, over-under yards for someone. I'm going to also give fantasy, start 'em and sit 'em. I'm going to give survivor pick. I'm going to give a mortal lock. So we have a lot to attend to in this show, and we keep the good times rolling. Let me hear if you are in the chat, if you're watching right now, chime in and tell me what picks that you have. Tell me what your picks you're picking today. Tell me what type of spread we're looking at for food, because a part of the Tea Time Tailgate is also optimizing your Sunday, setting you up with the best Sunday possible so you can enjoy every football Sunday. You only have about 20 to 22 of these per year. You might as well make them the best that you can. So to cap off the show, I'm going to tell you how you're going to have the best Sunday possible. So let's get to the picks. Here we go. Mikey O'Brien's here. TikTok Live. We do this shit now, Mike. We do that shit. And you know what they say? How's it going? How's it going? This guy wore two left shoes yesterday to the bar. And surprisingly, girls still wanted to talk to him. He didn't want to talk to them, though. All right, so we are moving on to the picks for the day. The first game of the 1 o'clock slate, we have the New York Football Giants going against a division rival in the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys minus 4.5 points. The over-under is 44.5. What I will say going into week 2 is I feel like this is when your judgment is the most muddied, because you really just got one little glimpse, 1 week, one game of all these teams, and you want to make snap decisions as to what you saw, and usually what you saw isn't the truth. It isn't what's going on in reality. It was almost like a dream. It was almost like a magic trick, and it's hard to keep your head straight knowing what to do and having that correct judgment going on to these picks. So I'll give that little intro going into my week 2 picks. As you can tell from my record, Not great. I mean, you're picking every damn game. You have multiple picks within every damn game. It's gonna be hard to be over 500. But what you're gonna want to pay attention to are those mortal locks. Want to know in the mortal locks? Who did I have last week? Who did I have last week? So it's a similar theme. I had the 49ers last week, -1.5. They beat the Seahawks. Wow, it was tight. It was tight, but we made it through. Going back to this game, I liked what I saw out of the Cowboys in the first game. They look competent. They look good on offense. They gave the Eagles a good game. The Giants, on the other hand, I did not like what I saw. I think they're actively trying to get Russell Wilson out of that job. Dayball does not like Russell Wilson. He wants to play Jackson Dart. I don't think you see Dart this week. Maybe for a couple plays at the end, actually, but I think Jackson Dart might start week 3 or week 4. That being said, I'm going to take the Cowboys. I'm taking the Cowboys -4.5. It seemed like a little bit of a sucker line because Cowboys at home. I feel like they should be getting more points, and a lot of people probably going to be picking the Cowboys based on how the Giants looked last week. But I think the Cowboys are going to prove something. They're going to get their first win in a while, and I think they're going to score a lot of points doing it. CeeDee Lamb, he didn't get one last week. He's getting this one this week. He's getting a touchdown that's +105. So not a huge plus sign, but you like seeing that plus sign next to a prop bet. So that's the first game of the day. Next game, 49ers at Saints. Saints are +3 at home, and the over-under is 40.5. Saints looked like doo-doo last week. They're going to be a really bad team. I don't like. I bet on them last week. It was close. It was +6.5. They lost by 7. They're going to be shit. They're going to be bad. But on the other hand, the 49ers have already caught the injury bug. That's scary and ugly. Brock Purdy going down. George Kittle going down. Once George Kittle was out of the game last week, the game completely changed. He affects the game so much in ways that you don't realize until he's gone. I think a lot of it being pass blocking. So that was an issue, and I think that could be an issue today, which makes me scared. We're going to see Mac Jones back in the NFL, back in our viewers. And as a Pats fan, I am not a Mac Jones fan. He is not my guy. Despite that, I do think the Shanahan offense is quite the plug and play. I think what we're going to see is that there's not a huge difference between Brock Purdy and Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones is going to plug in nicely into this offense. I think they're going to scheme it up for him, keep it with it. They're not going to say, Shanahan's going to be like, hey, we're going to put the blinders on you. Don't look here or here. Just keep it straight. Keep it focused. Don't do anything that's out of the norm. And then if you could bet on this is what I would bet today. Mac Jones is going to do something that you absolutely hate. It might be a terrible pick. It might be him getting first down and doing the goofiest and corniest celebration that you've ever seen, and you wanting to punch him in the face. Guaranteed that's going to happen. I got the Niners -3. This was also courtesy of Mikey Poudre, who fucked us all on Thursday night with a quote-unquote banger of a bet. He texted me and another friend of mine, Evan, earlier this week with a favorite pick of his, and it was the 49ers. He loved it so much. I did that before his banger of a pick on Thursday. If you double bang me during 1 week of football, Mike, there's going to be issues. I don't know if I'm going to be able to take your picks going forward. How about them Sox this weekend, man? They're hurting me. I don't know about their chances today either. I'm kind of scared about that. Sorry about the itchiness of the nose. I don't know. Every time I go in here, my nose gets itchy. All right. So we get the Niners -3. Juwan Jennings is coming back this game, and I think he's going to be open. He's going to get some yards. And this was a little low for what I would expect for him for over-under yards, 38.5 yards. I like him over 38.5 yards today. Next game, my Patriots versus the Dolphins. Dolphins -2.5 at home, over under 43.5. I was saying this with my friends yesterday, amongst shitting on the Patriots, because everyone went into the season with so much hope. We got Drake May, he was good, or we thought he was going to be good. I think what the worst thing the Patriots did this offseason was bring McDaniels back. I think he's disgraced after his time with the Raiders, and I think his offense just came and left the NFL. Like there's no room for his offense left in the NFL. It only worked when we had the best quarterback of all time in Tom Brady. Drake May can't be a pocket passer. We need him rolling out. We need him running the damn ball. They looked like shit last week. But who looked even shittier were these Dolphins. What's going to happen in this game is whoever loses this game, they are going to be confirmed bad team. They are going to be a shitty team. And I'm afraid that might be my Patriots. I'm not touching this because we notoriously stink in Miami. Tua has never lost to the Patriots. He's 7-0 against the Patriots, and Lord knows I'm not betting on the Dolphins, especially after last week. But going against my Patriots, that ain't happening either. I'm going with the over in this game. It's low. It's 43.5. I think. Well, both these teams. I think the Dolphins scored 8 to 16 points last week, and the Patriots scored 13 points. So the people aren't expecting a lot of points in this game. I think the Dolphins are actually going to be scoring. Hopefully the Patriots can keep the pace, but I think the Dolphins have something to prove this week, and I think this guy in particular has something to prove. Tyreek Hill. I think there's always one receiver. What's happened is there's always one receiver with these past Patriot teams that absolutely torches the Pats, especially with our top cornerback Christian Gonzalez out. So I think Tyreek Hill is going to feast today. I think we're going to see an over 100-yard game for him. I think we're going to see some big downhill plays. They're going to be going for him because it's been a narrative that he hasn't caught a 30-yard pass or a pass of over 30 yards or more in over a year. So I think they're going to be airing it out to him. I can imagine him with the touchdown. Jesus, no, this itchy nose thing is going to be a nuisance. So those are my two bets. Over 43.5 for the Pats game, for Pats Dolphins, and Tyreek Hill to get a touchdown. That's plus 145 if you like that little plus sign along with your bets. Next game, this is another, so we got two AFC East division matchups. The next one is Bills at the Jets. The Jets are plus 6.5. Over under is 47.5. I think last week was very surprising for the Jets. Their offense looked competent. It looked exciting. They were scoring a lot of points. Justin Fields looked good. So I think that shocked a lot of people. And the Bills came out and that was an amazing game, an amazing win that Josh Allen had. I really think he's the best player in football. God, I hate that he's in that division and not on my team. I love him. And as long as he's the quarterback of the Bills, they're going to be the top in that division. It's not going to be close. I do expect the Bills to win this game. The 6.5 at home for an interdivision matchup, it seemed like a lot of points. I don't know how much I like that. The Bills are going to be scoring a lot. So this was a game I had a lot of back and forth on. I couldn't decide on the spread, so I went with the over. I think there's going to be a lot of points in this game. I think the Jets are showing that they got a good offense. I think the Bills are going to run it up. They're going to run it up. This is a guy that did not score last week. They got 41 points. He did not score, so they're going to be looking to give him the ball in the end zone. This is one of my favorite prop bets today to bet. James Cook minus 135. Not just saying that because he's on my fantasy team. As you know, Tea Time, Tony Murr, completely unbiased show. I am so about my journalistic integrity. The show is all about integrity. I'm just fucking with you. We are absolutely biased, but that is not why I like this pick. Is because he did not get a touchdown last week, and there was a lot of offense being had. He had a lot of yards, so they're gonna give him the ball near the end zone. So you can expect that. All right, so we're going to the next game. I think I'm going to go back over here. Gotta stay fueled, gotta stay hydrated. All right, so next game, we got the Jaguars at the Bengals. The Bengals are minus 3.5 at home. The over-under is 49.5. This is a game that I'm interested in. The Bengals always start their season slow. They did not look good last week against the Browns. The Jaguars, on the other hand, with Liam Cohen, I'm high on the Jaguars this year. I think they could be a decent team. They're not going to be great, but they're going to be frisky, and I do believe that they're going to win their division. The Bengals did not look good last week. Everyone's loving this over-under so much that I kind of like the under. Not enough to bet it, though. What I like in this game for the spread is I like the Jags getting 3.5 points. I think they could fuck around and win this game. So I'd love to see that. And this is a dream that I had last night. It was a premonition. I don't know how this entered my neural pathways to speak to me subconsciously, but Brian Thomas is getting in the end zone today. He's gonna have a big, big game. He's getting in the end zone, and I know I just said that James Cook is my favorite prop bet, but I really think this could. I mean, the fact that you saw something in a dream, how do you not make that your favorite prop bet? It's 1 and 2 right there. Brian Thomas getting in the end zone. I feel very, very good about that. That's plus 125 on that. You love seeing the plus sign. All right, moving on in the 1 p.m. slate. We're probably about halfway through the 1 p.m. games right now. Bears at the Lions. Bears at the Lions. The Lions are minus 6.5 at home, and the over-under is 46.5. So I watched that Monday night game last week with the Bears, and I don't think they imploded. They imploded. I didn't think they looked that much like shit, but they did what the Bears have done lately, and that's just shit the bed when crunch time comes along. Caleb Williams, he missed a couple key throws, but he didn't look that bad. Their own line is improved. He had a lot of time in the pocket. But the Lions, they looked like shit last week too. And they had an embarrassing loss to the Packers to start off their season without their two defensive coordinators, or their two coordinators. Ben Johnson as OC. Oh, that's going down. Okay. Hold on. Ben Johnson as OC. Ben Johnson as OC and Aaron Glenn as DC. I think Dan Campbell has something to prove this game. He was actually saying that he's already saying, coining this game as a must-win for them. We have to win. Starting off the season with 2 division losses for either of these teams would be brutal for the rest of their season, because it's a bleak outlook going forward. The Lions are going to win this game. There's no way the Lions lose this game. 6.5 is tough. I think they're going to cover it, though. I think they're out for blood. Come on with the FaceTimes. I think they're out for blood. So I think this is going to be something that they're going to be trying to embarrass the Bears. And I can imagine there was a lot of dissension amongst Bears fans after watching that first game. I think there's going to be even more question marks about the head coach, definitely about the quarterback. 6.5 for the Lions. I don't feel great about it, but I didn't feel great about this. Was a lot. I had a lot of indecision about these games. I took a long time taking these picks. What I did notice in that first game is Rome Odunze is Caleb Williams' favorite target. He's always seemed open. They were scheming up for him right in the middle of the field. I imagine them being down. I think the Lions are going to come out hot. They're going to be winning most of the game. And I think there's going to be a lot of dump-offs to Odunze. And what I like him to get is over 49.5 yards in the game today. Over 49.5 receiving yards. We got next game, Seattle Seahawks going against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Pittsburgh Steelers -3, over under 40.5 points. Steelers looked good last week. Aaron Rodgers hitting this move in the... Someone said that was like the unk move. It really was. But when he hits this, he's really feeling himself. He was out to prove something last week against the Jets. And I almost think like a lot of his motivation is vindication. He wants to vindicate himself against people that he deemed has wronged them in the past. So is it something that he's not going to be able to get up for this game as much because it's not against a rival of his? I mean, like, what does he have against the Seahawks? Almost nothing. Sam Darnold, I hate to do this for him because I think he's a cool dude and I like him. I think he's going to turn into a pumpkin this year. I think what you're going to see is how important Kevin O'Connell is as a coach. The offense did not look good last week. I don't like them as a team. This is a game I had a lot of indecision with too because I think the Steelers win, but it's gonna be really close. And I didn't even like giving the Seahawks 3 points. This line has moved quite a bit. I think it was like 38.5, 39.5, and it's at 40.5 now. The over under. So I like the over in this game. I think Sam Darnold's gonna be trying to prove something and say, "Hey, I still got it. I still got it, guys." And I think the Steelers' offense could be humming after last game. They scored, 34 points? So I like the over of 40.5. You know who has something to prove this game? This is a rivalry game. This is not a rivalry game. Revenge game. That's what I was looking for. It was an R-E word. It was an R-E word and it ends with venge. I feel like venge should be a word in itself. That would be a good verb, but you just get revenge. You don't venge someone. You don't get your venge. You revenge. When does the venging start? People are asking, but you could probably already get what I'm getting at. It's DK Metcalf. He's going to be out to prove something against the Seahawks to say, "You guys need me. You guys need me." I can imagine him with a touchdown today. I like him over 66.5 receiving yards. So that's what we're doing for the proppy prop of the droppy drop of that game. Oh my God, my nose is incredibly itchy. All right, so I would like to take a quick pause in the broadcast, in the show, and just recognize that how important each week of football is. And what makes a good week of football is good company, good food, and a couple beverages. You need a couple beverages to really put it over the top and let yourself relax a little bit and also know that it's Sunday and you're having fun. So I just want to recognize that as we go through this because it ain't all about, a lot of times, I mean, this is what happens is when you're throwing the bets around, you get a little uptight, get like this. Oh, what happened here? What happened there? Checking the phone. What happened fantasy? Just let it come to you. As a great Tony Murr Senior. He's a junior, and I'm the third actually, but he's a senior to me. Let the game come to you. Let the game come to you. So that's what we're gonna do this Sunday. Let the game come to you. Hold on. That wasn't me. So next game, Rams at Titans. Titans plus 5.5. Over under 41.5. The Titans. They look good last week. They look like they're gonna be frisky. They look like they're a team that's never going to give up. The Rams last week, despite not scoring that many points, I still have a lot of belief in the Rams. I think they're a really good team, and I think they're. Hold on, imagine that. My mic wasn't on the whole time. I thought that was what was happening. They, despite only scoring 14 points last week, I still think they look good. I think they're a team that's gonna. Especially because Stafford, he didn't really practice much because of he's dealing with some injuries. But I think as the team gels together, as the season goes on, you're going to see that offense pop a little bit more. I think a lot of people are in favor of the Titans because of how good they looked last week. I think the Rams are a much better team. I think the Rams are probably a better team than the Broncos. I think I'm not. This is a lot of indecision. I'm looking at this pick. Everyone's loving the Titans. I think I do like the Rams. I like the Rams minus 5.5. This is a game that you hold on to your ass cheeks though for because it's never gonna feel safe. They might win by a touchdown. The over under. You would think the under because both those games are low scoring. The Titans game against the Broncos last week. The Rams games against the Texans last week. I didn't want to touch it. Rams minus 5.5 is my pick for the game. This is a guy that you want to pay attention to. This is a guy that everyone wants on their team because he's a gamer, he's a badass, he's an animal, he's a beast. Every single adjective that you can use to describe a good football player is Puka Nacua. This is a guy that gets into the dirty areas, that isn't afraid to catch a pass over the middle, that is always looking for extra yards. Not only that, he's going to be blocking for his teammates too. I got Puka Nacua. He's gonna have a big game. What's gonna happen is both the D lines of these teams are very good. I think the run game is gonna be almost non-existent in this. The only way that they're gonna be able to get yards is through the pass game. Puka Nakua. He's going to get 8 receptions. I really think it's going to be a 10 and 100 game for him. But I don't know about a touchdown. I really think you can go crazy and bet him to get 10 receptions and 100 yards. I got him to have at least 8 grabs, and that's a plus 106 bet. You can get him to have like 7 grabs for a way more minus sign, but I mean, like we're afraid of the minus signs. We want to go plus. We want to be adding to the game, not subtracting, adding to the day. So that's what I got for that Rams game. Next game up, we got Browns at Ravens. Ravens minus 12.5. Over under 45.5. Ravens. Ravens fans. I got a text from a Ravens fan that's saying that he hopes that his office, or he hoped that his office caught fire the next day with him inside it. That's how much of a Ravens fan he is, but I know how much Raven fans in general love that team. I've actually been to more Ravens games live than Patriots games. The reason being is I went to school in Baltimore, and basically every time I visit Baltimore in the fall, I'm going to a Ravens game. Always so much fun. If we got any Ravens fans in the chat, I would love to hear from you all. What you're doing for this game. Going to Mother's beforehand, having that big like parking lot area for the tailgate. It's so much fun. I love Baltimore, and I used to hate the Ravens when they were the Patriots rivals, but now with Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry, those are guys I love watching. So I've grown to like that team, and they do have some of the best uniforms in football, I have to say. So they, like I was saying, because of that loss that they had against the Bills, they're going to be out for blood. They're going to want to show off their ass cheeks and show that they are the creme de la creme. They are the kings of the NFL. They are honestly the kings of the regular season in the NFL. I do still think they're going to win about 12 or 13 games, but they're going to want to embarrass the Browns. We got Flacco going back to Baltimore, his old team, and despite he won a Super Bowl for them 13 years ago, I don't even know how long that was, and he's still in the NFL, 40 plus years old, still slinging it. So good for Joe, and there's gonna be some comfortability being back there. The fans still love him. I do think the Ravens are gonna rout them. I think it's gonna be a handled victory. There really isn't gonna be a sweat about it. But the 12.5 points in an interdivision matchup, I feel like I've bet the Ravens in the past when they come off a huge loss and then they're huge favorites. They usually don't rise up to that bar. They're going to win, but 12.5 against a division rival, against Joe Flacco, who's going to be back at M&T Bank wanting to show off his little ass cheeks over there. I like the Browns minus 12.5, or plus 12.5 rather. That's a game that you're never going to feel good about it, but somehow we're going to come across as victors. Njoku is going to get a touchdown today. I was looking at the odds for touchdowns for the Browns, and they don't even think that the Browns are going to score a touchdown. The lowest odds for someone scoring a touchdown on the Browns was, I think Samson was plus 200. So for anyone on your team to be plus 200 to score a touchdown, that's your lowest odds. They don't even think that someone's going to score. So I really think this is a kind of palms up game. Like who is going to score a touchdown? I think Njoku is going to score a touchdown for them. You saw Kincaid with the Bills. I think he got a touchdown for the Bills last week. So maybe the tight ends, that's a little opening in the Ravens defense. All right, so that is the end of the 1 o'clock slate. So I would like to convey to you and portray my sentiment going from the 1 o'clock to the 4 o'clock slate. It really depends on the setting. So I'll give you my week 2, for example. My parents, my family is coming over for the game. And my grandma, my aunt coming over too. They're going to bring over a nice spread of food. It's going to be a great day, and really football Sunday and being with your family, that's customary for Tony Murr. So I'm excited to see them. I'm excited to watch the Patriots game with them. I wonder if they're going to stick around for the 4 o'clocks. My dad will probably want to, because he just loves watching football with the boys, and especially that he's into fantasy too. We're in a fantasy league together. He's going to want to stay. I don't know what I'm thinking is like, am I gonna be going like this at the 4 o'clock? Because I think everyone goes into this juncture. Am I gonna be going like this, getting excited and wanting to do more, or am I gonna be kind of like winding down, wanting to relax and just be on the couch and be sedimentary? So it really depends on that. I could be spending more time with my family and just get really horizontal on the couch. But if we're going north with our play and with our attitude and with our mindset, I can see myself calling up Mikey O'Brien, calling up Nate Seed and saying, "Hey guys, you at the bar still? I kind of want to meet you. I kind of want to have a beverage for these 4 o'clocks." What I think, I mean, just looking at this first 4 o'clock game though, I'm not sure how much excitement these are going to bring. This game is stinky doo doo, poo poo, caca in your pants. Panthers at Cardinals. Cardinals -7, over under 45.5. I think the Cardinals, they looked pretty solid last week. They didn't look great. They let the Saints hang around that game, and they were in a game that they really didn't deserve to hang around in. The Panthers looked bad. The Panthers looked bad. I think there was a lot of excitement going into the season for the Panthers because of how they finished their season. I still don't think they're a good team. Let's not get that wrong. I still don't think they're a good team. 7 seemed like a lot of points, though. I didn't feel comfortable with that. But at the same time, it's like 7 points. Why are the Cardinals ever getting 7 points in a game? I went back and forth on that. A lot of back and forth. I really couldn't make up my mind, and I want to get the right picks for you guys. The losing record last week, it didn't feel good. Let's see. I chose the over/under in this game, and I chose the over. This was me maybe an hour ago making this pick, and like I'm looking at this and I'm like, why would I even think it's the over? But that's what I wrote down, so that's what I'm going with. I haven't changed what I've written down. I've been going not with chalky picks, but chalk, as in this is what I wrote down with. I'm going with, instead of chalk, let's call it ink. These are inked picks. Once I ink them up, I haven't changed them. I'm not sure if that's going to change throughout the season, but this is what I felt. This is what I'm going with, and now I'm looking at that over. I'm thinking like, how are they gonna score? And maybe that's just how, right? When you think both these teams think they can't score points, it's just the opposite. Sometimes you just gotta do the opposite of how you're feeling when you don't know about the gambling. Oh, also, well, I'll go into this as well. I gotta finish up this game. I think it was a great sign that McMillan was getting involved. Troy McMillan on the rookie on the Panthers, the receiver. I think it was such a good sign that he was getting involved early, and that they're already looking for him as the number one guy. So I think that is going to only increase as the season goes on. Him to have over 60.5 yards. That's what I like in this game. That's what I like. That's what I like, as Bruno Mars would say. And you can get yourself some 24-karat magic in the air if we are looking good and winning these picks at this point in the day. So I was shitting on the 4 o'clock slate. These next two games are interesting. I'm even slightly interested in that game, even the Panthers Cardinals game, even though I don't think it's going to be good. I'm still slightly interested. This game, this is a pulse check game, is what I'd say, because both these teams looked different than what people expected of them after going into week one. Broncos at Colts. Colts +2.5 at home. Over under 43.5. I think everyone thought the Broncos were going to murder the Titans. I think that was my survivor pick last week. It was way more of a sweat than I would have ever liked it to be. I think so the Broncos looking shitty last week, and the Colts absolutely demolishing the Dolphins. I think people are wondering about both of these teams right now. I think the Broncos are better what they showed last week. I think the Titans are just actually a better team than we all think. And then the Colts, on the other hand, I think the Dolphins, who they played last week, are a really bad team. They have no grit. That's a big problem with them, is they have no grit. And I mean, I don't want to talk about Dolphins right now because we're talking this game. But I think this is going to be a little bit of a course correction game. I think the Colts aren't as good as the people think, and I don't think the Browns are as bad as people think after that week one performance. So I'm going with the Broncos here. It might be a little biased because I do have them winning their division, which I think they could be on top of right now. But yeah, I like the Broncos today, -2.5. And what I liked, see, these are the little things that you got to pay attention to. The words that people say, not only mine, but others. Like a lot of times I like to hear myself talk, obviously. It seems like that's where this is heading right now. I'm doing a lot of that just into this camera. But Michael Pittman, after the game, he said that Tyler Warren, the rookie tight end on the Colts, looked really good, and he could have had an even bigger game than he did. They just kind of stopped giving it to him because they were trying to spread the ball around because they were absolutely dominating that game. I think him having over 44.5 yards is going to be almost a lock. They're the tight or the cornerbacks on the Broncos are so good, and Daniel Jones, despite how good he looked last week, is not that good. He's gonna have to look for. It's like a safe dump down is like going back home to poop. You don't want to poop outside in public. You want to poop where you're comfortable, where you're safe. And that is throwing to Tyler Warren. Throwing to Tyler Warren in this game equals taking a poop at home. So take a poop at home today, please. I know that if you are a true football fan, yeah, you're gonna take a poop at home. Okay, not to get gross, but let's get real. We Sometimes you have to get gross to get real, and that's what we like to do around here. This next game, really good game because it is a rematch of the Super Bowl last year. We got the Eagles at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are +1.5 points at home, 46.5 points over under. I got burned. I got burned during the Super Bowl last year. I do not like the Chiefs because they are taking over as the Patriots as the dominant force in the NFL, the dynasty in the NFL, and I don't like anyone who's not the Patriots being a dynasty. Um, so I was big on the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. I also don't like the Eagles either because they beat the Pats in the Super Bowl. But I was big on the Chiefs, and they got killed, demolished, croaked, pancaked, all of those things. They got killed in that Super Bowl. Um, I mean, they're going to be looking for blood in this game. They're going to want revenge, and the fact that they're underdogs at home, I got to go Chiefs. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into this game because the Eagles, I don't think they looked that great last week. They kind of did, though. The Cowboys, they hung around and made it close because I think the Cowboys looked good last week. I don't know. I'm going with the Chiefs just because Chiefs underdogs at home. After a loss in the Super Bowl last year, I think it's gonna be a great game. I'm excited for this game, but I gotta go Chiefs in this one. What you saw last week is a Xavier Worthy injury. Looks like he dislocated his shoulder in some sort of way. Also, if you saw that collision between him and Travis Kelce, that just goes to show how much of brick shit houses some of these guys are in the NFL. Worthy probably weighs about 170 pounds, which is how much I weigh. And if he's not bracing for impact, you can see how just running into these guys how much it could destroy you. And I thought, like, if any one of us going across the seam, just running into Travis Kelce, when he's not even trying to hit us, how much that would destroy us, given what happened to an actual NFL player when that happened, goes to show how crazy, oh my God, how crazy built these guys are. But because of that play, Worthy got hurt. I think he might play today. I think he's got one of those Qs in fantasy. And you know, some guys with the Q next to their name, they always got the Q next to their name, but you know they're gonna play. There's other guys that they don't always have the Q next to their name, and you're not sure. You're looking at Schefter's tweet saying, "Is he playing? Is he playing?" You're searching on that X app. By the way, we are live on X. If you are watching Tea Time live on X, let me hear you. Let me hear you. Get in the chat. Let me hear you. All right, but I keep getting distracted with different things. So Xavier Worthy might play, but he's obviously going to be less than 100%. Everyone's saying Hollywood Brown. Look out for Hollywood Brown. No, someone who is used to the Chiefs offense, someone who is used to the playing against the Eagles is Juju Smith-Schuster. He's someone that everyone hates because he likes TikTok. He likes TikTok. He likes doing ticky-tacky dances on the NFL field where you're supposed to do manly shit, but you're doing little frilly dances. I can understand why people hated him. I hated him when he was a New England Patriot. We got rid of Jacoby Myers to save $3 million and pay him. What a horrible move. What a horrible move. But he's going to have a good game today. They're going to be looking for him. He's going to have over 34.5 yards. You don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is even capable of doing anything? Yes, he is. Don't doubt the Juju. Get with the Juju. I think we were saying a little bit earlier, 24-karat magic in the air. That magic, that Juju. Get that good Juju on your side and bet Juju. This is the last game of the 4 o'clock slate. Oh, that was the last game of the 4 o'clock slate. This is the last game of the day. This is the 8 p.m. game. We get the Falcons going to Minnesota. Vikings, that is. Minnesota is minus 3.5, over under 44.5. I watched Minnesota last Monday night, go against the Bears, and J.J. McCarthy looked awful in that first half, and if you follow me on socials, you would have seen how much I hated. Oh my God, I was like, the Vikings are done. They're over. They stink. J.J. McCarthy stinks. And then he just turned out to be a gamer, and he showed up when he needed to. He did all the right things at all the right times, and he won that game. He had some impressive throws down the stretch. Falcons, on the other hand, too, they played the Bucks. I think are one of the best teams in the NFC, and they played them super tight. I think Penix is a good player, and I'm kind of wondering who would I have rather have on my team, Drake May and Michael Penix, or even J.J. McCarthy, two guys that were picked after May. Trust me, I'm not giving up on my guy May yet. I'm not giving up on my guy May. He looked good last week. Missed a crucial kick in crunch time to tie the game and bring it to OT. This was another game where it was a lot of indecision. I was like, is it Vikings? Is it Falcons? Is it Vikings? Is it Falcons? A lot of back and forth, a lot of flip-flopping. And what do you do when you don't know what to bet on? You bet the over. That's the simple of it. That's the plain and simple of it. You bet the over. Over 44.5 points this game. I really don't know. I don't have any good decision other than this is what you do when you don't know what to bet. You just bet the over. Who looked like the dominant back in that Minnesota backfield last week was Jordan Mason. He was running hard. He was getting 4 or 5 yards at the clip. I like him to get a touchdown tonight. Plus 106, I like him to get a touchdown. He's going to be the guy that they give it to in short yard situations. If it's at the 5 and in, they're going to be looking for Jordan Mason. Get it in with Jordan Mason. All right, so that is the end of the picks for today. That is just the picks. We have a little bit more to go on to. That is just the pick portion of this. What we still have is actually no, it's not the end of the pick portion because we have guest picks. We have guest picks from, so I've been hiding this bit of information, but we have, what I've let the Tea Timers know is we have guests coming for tomorrow night's Monday Night Football game. These are return and recurring guests of Tea Time. They are guests that lended themselves to the most viewed Tea Time in Tea Time history. That is Mike O'Brien, Obi, and Nathan Seed. They're coming in tomorrow night for the Bucks-Texans game, so get ready to see them tomorrow. But they gave me picks because what we're going to be doing is we give them praise or we give them shit based on these picks. They're both very homerish picks. Obi gave me one pick, Patriots plus 2.5. Like I said, we're Patriots fans. We're from New England, from Boston in particular. Well, live in Boston in particular, from the suburbs of Massachusetts. Homer pick, he gave me plus 2.5. I don't feel particularly good about it. We stink in Miami. Tua has our number, and we might just flat out stink. Then Nate, on the other hand, the self-proclaimed Lions fan. He might be a bigger Lions fan than Patriots fan based on the way he acts. He spent 2 years out in Detroit for work, and he is a pseudo Lions fan because of it. Lions minus 6.5. against the Bears is his pick, and then he agrees with me with the McMillan. He's got McMillan for a touchdown today on the Panthers. Let me get serious for a second here. This is my mortal lock of week 2 of the NFL season. So bring yourself back a few years. There was a lot of talk about the first 3 picks in the NFL draft. It went a little something like this: Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Mac Jones. What do those 3 guys have in common? I won't go there. I'm trying to stay positive, but you know what they have in common. Who was Trey Lance picked by? The 49ers. He was picked by the 49ers. Their head coach, Kyle Shanahan, publicly said that he wanted Mac Jones. The front office wanted Trey Lance. What happens is Mac Jones ends up with the Patriots. He stinks it up in New England. He goes to Jacksonville for a little bit, and now Shanahan's got his guy back. Shanahan wants to prove anytime that one of these great coaches have a backup quarterback, this is their chance to do a little dance, show themselves off, and say, this is why I'm one of the best coaches in the NFL. This is why you paid me millions to coach these guys. I got my guy back. I'm going to shove it in the front office's face, and I'm going to show that I can coach just about anyone. We got the 49ers -3 against the New Orleans Saints at New Orleans. Book it. That is my mortal lock. Do not be concerned that my mortal lock last week was also the 49ers. That hit. And do not be concerned that I bet the 49ers to win their division. Don't be concerned about any of that. We take all these picks are in a vacuum. They're in a silo. No outside noise. This is what we're doing. Mortal lock. 49ers -3. Now we will go to the fantasy. Start 'em and sit 'em. I had some good picks, some bad picks last week. Actually, let's look at those. We're coming to the 50-minute mark. I love how good my timing is. When we talk about timing, we talk about this. Fantasy stardom. B. Strange on the Jags. He had 9 points. That was a good game. Jonathan Taylor, he didn't get any touchdowns. I think he had an average game. Mike Evans, these are all stardoms I had. Mike Evans had like an average game, around 10 points. Aaron Jones with that touchdown, I think he had about 20 points. He had a good game. Josh Jacobs for Green Bay had a great game. So I like my start. My sit-em, C.J. Stroud, he was horrible. His team didn't score more than 9 points. That was a good sit-em. Calvin Ridley, I think he had 7 points. That was a good sit-em. Garrett Wilson, that was not a good sit-em. He had a touchdown. He had a pretty good game. Let's see. Let's go back here. My fantasy stardom for this week. I spoke about most of these guys earlier. Puka Nacua. He is going to be, in terms of yards, who has the most yards out of anyone for the Rams, he's going to get the most yards out of anyone on that Rams team today. Look for him today. I know Matt Stafford is going to be looking for him. McMillan on the Carolina Panthers. He's much like Nacua. Because he's going to give some Chuba Hubbard some love. But I think they're going to be behind in this game. They're going to need to throw the ball a lot. I think McMillan is going to have about 80 yards and a touchdown. We're talking about a 15-ish point fantasy game. And then James Cook. I think they're going to run the ball a lot against the Jets. I think they're going to try to control the time of possession, control the game. And James Cook, he didn't score a touchdown last week. I think they're going to be trying to feed him the ball to show him this is why we paid you. This is why you are our number 1 back. Fantasy sit-em this week. Daniel Jones. I understand that he's probably not being started in a lot of fantasy leagues, but I think probably picked up in a lot of fantasy leagues. He scored 4 touchdowns last week. He probably had 25, 30-point game. You're tempted to play him. If you picked him up, you have a shitty quarterback situation to begin with. You're tempted to play him after that. He's going against the Broncos, who have, I think, the best defense in the NFL. I think he's going to regress to the mean a little bit. You do not want to play. You can play Daniel Jones later on in the season. Don't play him this week. Aaron Jones against the Falcons. I have a thing against the Joneses this week. Um, I think Jordan Mason just proved to be the better back out of those two. He did have a great catch, great touchdown catch to Aaron Jones, but I think they're gonna feed Jordan Mason a lot. I don't think we'll see much Aaron Jones action. I think if you picked him in fantasy, you should be a little bit concerned. Tony Pollard against the Rams. Tony Pollard of the Tennessee Titans against the Rams. Um, like I said earlier, their D line on the Rams is very, very good. And I don't see Pollard having any sort of daylight. I can't imagine him having over 50 yards. I think he's going to have under 7 fantasy points. So I would not want to see him in your starting lineups. My survivor pick, that was my fantasy stardom sit. My survivor pick, we survived last week. We had the Broncos last week. It was sweaty. I had my sweatband, I had my headband on. I was grabbing my ass cheeks tight during the whole game. Come on, Broncos, just get through it. We got through it. We got through it. That was a game you got to hold on to those cheeks for dear life. So we got through week 1. We're on to week 2. What I can imagine people are wanting to do is they want to get cute at this point in the game. They want to be like, I want to save a good team. I don't want to pick some of the best teams. Survivor is about surviving. Survive in advance. Don't try to get too cute. Do what makes sense. We got to go with the Baltimore Ravens today. I said earlier that I think that the Browns will cover. However, I do not think that the Ravens are going to lose this game. They are leaps and bounds better than the Browns. They are pissed off after last week. I like the Ravens in Survivor today, so I think you can feel good about that pick. And to cap off any tea time tailgate, we need to set you up for week 2. We got to set you up for the ultimate, for the optimal, for the most blissful Sunday afternoon that you could possibly have during football season. And this time, you know, I'm getting serious. Glasses are coming off. So we are on to week 2. I think week 1, if you were a football fan, you had a big blowout. You had everything. You had pizza, you had calzone, you had chips, you had cookies, you had a couple beverages, you were with friends. It was a big party. Keep it going. Do not slow down. You might want to say, I should take it easy. I didn't feel that good on Monday last week. I didn't have the best start to my week. I don't care. I don't care because it's football season. And Sundays are so damn important to enjoy yourself during football season. Sunday is still the weekend. People forget about that. Sunday, you want to be able to enjoy yourself, and football Sunday lends to you enjoying yourself as much as you can. So still enjoy yourself and still go all out. I know myself, my parents were bringing over pizza and subs that I cannot wait to chow down on. Do not spare yourself with any food. But instead of what we're going to change a little bit from last week is we were doing a lot of pickies last week to start off. You're going to go hard with the food. You go hard with the food to start out. You want to do big bulk at first, big bulk later. And what my suggestion is you do whatever you might do, like whatever you typically start your day with, especially during football, like it's calzone, pizza, subs, that's what I'm expecting, wings. Go with those. You don't want to do Chinese food later. That's going to be really, really good. You don't want to do Chinese food later. Get yourself some Chinese later. So that's how you set yourself up with the ultimate Sunday. But what's going to change a little bit is I will allow you to take. It's going to be a choose your own adventure starting at the 4 o'clock, and I was alluding to this earlier. You might want to just have a relaxful Sunday where you can still have everything you want, but you just want to be horizontal on your couch. You don't want to go anywhere. You don't want to see anyone else. You just want to relax, watch football, and enjoy. That's one route. That's one option. The other option is you see yourself getting excited. I really like this Sunday. I'm having a little bit too much fun on this Sunday. What you do in those situations, you keep going. Have another beverage. Have another beverage. Hold off on the food till later. The difference is when you're staying horizontal, that Chinese food order is going to be at about 6 o'clock. When you're choosing vertical and you're choosing to continue on your Sunday, that Chinese food isn't coming till about 8 or 9 o'clock at night because you're beveraging. So that's how I'm drawing up this Sunday for you. And what I'd like to say is that is another Tea Time Tailgate for week 2. You can catch me every Sunday, 11:30 to 12:30. I'm going to be live on TikTok. I'm live on X. I'm live on Twitch. I'm live on YouTube. If you like football, you like Sundays, I really can't see how you have a better Sunday than having with Tony Murr in Tea Time. To just give you a scheduled look ahead at the rest of this week, we got Monday Night Football tomorrow with Tea Time. We got Obi and Nate coming to the studio for the game for the Bucks Texans, and then Thursday we're gonna be doing Thursday Night Football back again for Tea Time Tailgate week 3. I mean, this is what we do. It's football season. This is going to become customary. I know it's new for most of you, but I'd like you to get used to it, and I hope you like what you see. And as always, how we finish off every show, simple as this. Absolute.